Schmidt, are you ready on anyone?
Yes, sir.
Who would you like first?
Oops, trying to wait, sir. But I think that they go to,
Okay. Mr. Elwood, Joshua, Darren Elwood, CR 24207. Ma'am, I'm gonna need you off that front row, please. Just move over to this side. Okay. There you go. Thank you. There you go. Mr. Elwood is set for free call.
we're set for pretrial. We have no. I'm gonna get that pen in a second. We have no contested pretrial matters that need to be heard at this time. Ask for a docket call on that July 7th date.
All right, there being no contested pretrial motion, court says Mr. Elwood call July 7th. 1:30. Foster. Come on up, please. You can come down the middle, that's fine. This is Shunter Renee Foster, CR 24164. I believe that we are set for arraignment today, Mr. That I think this is Ms. Foster's first appearance that we've had.
Yes, sir.
Since Greg County.
Yes, sir.
And judges.
You reset, Schmidt, so you have time to talk with her. Just
Sure, and that, I think, Judge, as far as arraignment's concerned, we're aware of the indictment, name spelled correctly, waive reading of that, enter a plea of not guilty. I would ask the court to set us for a pretrial on Thursday. And I think that given the amount of time that she's been in custody in Gregg County, I'll meet with Ms. Curry or whoever, and hopefully we can have her resolved. I think we can.
state.
Oh, that's fine.
All right. Court says, court will enter Ms. Foster's plea of not guilty into the record, finding that she's waived the formal requirements of arraignment. Court will set her for a pretrial on Thursday, June 4th. At 1.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Gilchrist. Cause number 2023-77 CR 25-200 State versus Ariella Fallon Gilchrist. Ms. Gilchrist is set for docket call on the felony possession. I believe that transferred the motion to state's motion to adjudicate on the misdemeanor assault. Any announcements?
That's correct, Judge. And I think that Mr. Hartwell and I had been discussing Ms. Gilchrist's case, but we never got to the point where we were ready to make offers. And I'll start over and meet with Ms. Curry. So we're going to ask for a docket call setting. Give me an opportunity to meet with Ms. Curry on that.
All right, we'll set Ms. Gilchrist then for docket call July 7th. Carry the motion to date. Jay Harrison. Clause number CR 24-137, CR 26-28, State versus J. Randall Harrison. Motion to vote on session and do pretrial on the hearing.
Judge, I'm going to ask for a reset on the MTA, and I would request that the court allow me to have an additional pretrial setting on his new offense. I have not had an opportunity to review the discovery in that case or talk with Ms. Curry, so if I could and the state doesn't object, that'd be great.
The objections from state.
No objection.
All right, court will set Mr. Harrison for July 7th. Each case. Pretrial on CR 26. We'll see. Clay Walsh. Clause number CR 26-16, 2026-20. Walsh will set. Docket call. Each. But
Thank you, Judge. Does the court have a docket? Not next week, do you? No, that's, okay, when's the next actual?
trial next, 16, 2
Okay,
weeks.
so we're looking at July then. We're gonna ask for an additional docket call on him for that July 7th date.
All right, court sets Mr. Walsh for final docket call July 7th. Case. Charles Wilson. State versus Charles Wilson III, cause numbers CR 26-17, 18, 19. Also CR 26-68. I believe it's set for docket call on assault public servant ×3. And I believe there's a newer case, tampering and fabricate physical evidence, Mr. Schmidt.
That's correct, Judge. On the tampering, we need to arraign Mr. Wilson. Did receive a copy of that, but his name is spelled correctly. Pretty like it. Has to carry that to a pretrial with these other ones. On the prior cases, I had been speaking with Mr. We did not get to the point where any offers have been made, so I will begin anew with Ms. Curry. Hopefully we can get that resolved.
All right, court finds that Mr. Wilson has entered a plea of not guilty. Court enters that into the record, finds he's waived formal requirements of arraignment. Carries all cases to by. Mr. Watson. DR 22-198, State versus Christopher Storm Watson. Watson was set on the 9 o'clock docket. I believe he's set for plea today. Is that correct?
Well, we were set for a plea, Judge. I think that there were some issues with the terms of that particular plea. that the victim's family was not satisfied with. The DA's office was compelled to revoke that offer. And so what we are going to ask to do is set Mr. Watson on not the June contested docket, but the next one, because I won't be here. And then me and Ms. Curry can see if we can't come to something that everyone can live with.
I didn't know that was coming, Judge. As I told Mr. Schmidt earlier, we have a plea agreement before um, the court accepted that plea. It was my intention, because the victims in the case have now contacted us and made their wishes known, it was my intention to put the victim on for the court to hear, so the court could decide whether to accept the plea or not, but we did have a plea. I didn't know he was going to be asking to have it put off today.
No.
I don't think so, Judge, but I think we probably can get there. I think that it's just a matter of, in other words, I didn't know until recently that there was an issue. So I haven't had an opportunity to sit down with Ms. Curry or Mr. Watson to kind of reorganize what we're doing. So we're not prepared to move forward with any sort of testimony today. And I would like to think that we can resolve the MTA by a plea. But under the current circumstances, we're not prepared to do that.
All right, I'm having to make some changes to the schedule, but the evidentiary dates, July was gonna be the 30th. That's gonna be modified, the evidentiary date, Thursday, July 9th. Acceptable.
Yes, Judge.
All right, court sets Mr. Watson then for contested hearing. July 9th. At 9 AM. Actually, let's keep it 1:30. Let's keep it 1:30. We'll probably more likely to have less cases. Yeah. Thursday. All right, I should wait on. All right, this is call numbers CR 24-81, CR 24-82, state of Texas versus Ezekiel Alejandro Valencia. Mr. Valencia, if you'll raise your hand, best of your ability, I'm gonna place you under oath. Sir, do you swear that the testimony you give to the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. In just one moment, I'll look over your plea papers. Valencia, you appeared before the court previously on June 13th, 2024, in cause number CR 24-81, and also in this cause number CR 24-82. On that date, the court found that you pled guilty and were convicted of the offense of assault of a family or household member by circulation, a third-degree felony. The court considered a plea agreement and followed the plea agreement. The court assessed your punishment at 8 years confinement in prison, along with a $100 fine. Court then suspended that sentence and placed you on community supervision for a period of 5 years. And that was the plea agreement in clause number CR 24-81. In CR 24-82, you were convicted of the offense, assessed punishment at 8 years confinement, and also a $2,500 fine in that case. And that sentence was then suspended. You were placed on 5 years of community supervision. During your period of community supervision, the state filed 2 motions to revoke, and in the motions, they have alleged separate counts of allegations of violations. Have you had enough time to review those motions with your attorney, Mr. Schmidt?
Yes, sir.
And do you understand everything that you have read and signed today as part of your plea agreement?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions before we go further?
No, sir.
Mr. Schmidt, do you believe Mr. Valencia to be competent to enter into an agreement in each case?
I do.
And if so, that he's doing so intentionally, knowingly, and voluntarily after understanding his legal rights?
Yes,
Does your client waive the reading of the state's motion in each case?
we do waive, Judge. In addition, I would note for the court that the state is abandoning count 1 on that motion. And I just noticed reviewing the MTA that the Roman numerals are, I think there's 2 number 7 or count 7s, but it should be, I think it's correct on the judgment.
How much credit time is Mr. Valencia entitled to?
Your Honor, we have 361 days.
Both cases?
Yes, sir.
We concur with that, Judge.
All right, Mr. Valencia, I see that the plea agreement today in cause number CR 24-81 upon your plea of true to counts 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That the state is recommending that your community supervision be revoked, that your punishment be assessed at 5 years confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, for you to be ordered to pay the balance of your financial obligations, that's your fines, fees, court costs that you received previously. And you would receive that 361 days of credit towards your sentence for the time that you've already spent in jail on these cases. And that's the plea agreement in each case. Is that your understanding of the plea agreement and what you're asking the court to approve?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Valencia, with regards to the allegations contained in the state's motion to revoke in each case, how do you plead to those counts 2 through 7? Those counts true or not true?
True.
You're admitting that they're true because in fact you committed those violations. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Valencia, has anyone threatened you, forced you, or otherwise pressured you to plead true to any count?
No, sir.
The court does accept the defendant's plea of true to each counts 2 through 7, and each motion as alleged. Mr. Schmidt, is there any objection to the court admitting the defendant's waiver of rights and plea of true to evidence?
No, Judge.
Or admits that into evidence, takes judicial notice of the defendant's judicial confession to each count 2 through 7 that's contained in each clause. Is there anything further from the state?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything further from the defense?
No, sir.
All right, then, based on the defendant's pleas of true and the evidence, the court finds that Ezekiel Alejandro Valencia has violated the terms and conditions of his community supervision in both cause numbers CR 24-81 and CR 24-82. Based on that finding, the court follows the plea agreement reached between the defendant and the state. The court hereby revokes community supervision in each case, sentences the defendant to 5 years confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in each case, orders him to pay the balance of his financial obligations in each case, and the court awards Mr. Valencia 361 days credit towards his sentence for the time that he has spent in jail in each cause. Mr. Valencia, once you are released from custody, if you've not paid all the monies that you owe, then it's important that you report back here to the courthouse so you can set up a payment arrangement to discharge those. Failure to do so could result in the court issuing you a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So going to prison doesn't automatically satisfy the monies that you owe in your judgment. A lot of people think that. Sometimes I feel like they get bad advice once they get down to TDC and they're getting transferred out. So just understand that those things are going to be due and owing. If you don't pay them, you don't make an arrangement, we don't hear from you, then we're just going to assume that not being responsible for those, or will issue a warrant. On the other hand, if you'll come in and tell the court that you want to satisfy those and you'll make a substantive effort to do it, then the court will work with you in ensuring that you have a payment arrangement, okay? Payment plan. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Valencia, you hereby remanded to the custody of the sheriff so he can carry out the terms and conditions of the sentence. I'm going to have you be fingerprinted and then you'll report back to us. My understanding is that we're waiting on somebody, Mr. Grill.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes. Got off work at 2, and said she'd be here by 2:30.
Okay, great. All right, or we'll stand in recess until they arrive. You'll just notify us. So. All right, court's going to stand in recess for 15 to 20 minutes.
Oh, he's left-handed, I'm sorry.
All right, court is now on record with call number CR 23-158, State of Texas versus Brandon National Grill. It's understanding that we were set for plea today, perhaps. Is that correct? That's correct.
Possibly, Your Honor, I'd like to put some things on record. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Judge, we'd call Cindy Jordan.
Ms. Jordan. Ms. Jordan, if you'll come forward, you can open it up. Ms. Jordan, if you'll come right up here. Before you enter the witness stand, if you'll raise your hand, I'm going to place you under oath. Do you swear that the testimony you give to the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
What's your step? Have a seat. That chair does move.
Okay.
You can move it back if you need to. When you testify, just speak up loudly and clearly so everyone can hear what you have to say. You don't have to lean into the microphone.
Okay.
Please allow the attorneys to finish their questions. Answer so that we're not talking at the same time.
Yes, sir.
The reporter here's to your left. She's typing down everything that's said today. So that's very difficult. People start talking at the same time. A lot of times people want to become conversation. We really have to keep it question. Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's great.
Thank you, Judge. Ma'am, would you state your name and spell it for our court reporter, please?
Cynthia Jordan, CYNETHIAJORDAN.
And Ms. Jordan, you were at work today when I asked you if you could come to court this afternoon. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I didn't give you enough time to go home and change clothes and do all that.
I
did
apologize.
No, you don't need to apologize. That's fine. Ms. Jordan, how are you related to Mr. Creel sitting over there?
I'm his mother,
How old is Brandon?
34.
Ms. Creel, you and I have had, maybe 10 or 12 email conversations back and forth, 2 or 3 telephone conversations, and then we met for the first time today. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And in all of those, we've talked about the case or cases against your son, Brandon. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, just so that it's fresh in everyone's mind, the original case that Brandon is on probation for right now, you were the victim in that case. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Then are you aware that Brandon had some other cases that he got arrested for maybe 2 years ago while he was on probation?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you also the victim in all of those cases?
Yes, ma'am.
All of Brandon's criminal conduct that you know about, are you the only person who's been a victim of that?
Yes, ma'am.
And you and I, when we first started talking, would it be fair to say that you were upset with me because I wouldn't dismiss Brandon's cases?
I don't think, not on a personal level, upset with the system, very much so, frustrated, with the system as a whole. Not on a personal level with anyone,
Okay.
just as the system as a whole. And I guess not on a personal level, but the DA's office does control what happens. And so I was very frustrated with the system as a whole.
In one of our early conversations that took place via email, did I explain to you that the reason, even though you were the victim and you did not want the cases prosecuted, the reason I felt it necessary to prosecute the cases was, at least in part, for your protection and in another part for the protection of the community?
Yes, ma'am, that's what you told me.
Okay. And did I tell you that I was concerned by Brandon's mental health and the fact that his actions towards you could escalate over the years to the point that your life was in danger?
Yes, ma'am.
And even today, have I told you that there is at least some chance, while we all know Brandon's doing well today, there is at least some chance that at some point in the future, he might not do as well.
Yes, ma'am. I'm aware of that.
You have repeatedly asked me to dismiss the new cases, not the case he's on probation for, but the new cases, the ones he was arrested for while he was on probation. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And ultimately I did that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So now we're here today to decide what should happen with the case that Brandon's on probation for, right?
Yes, ma'am. That's my understanding.
I'm sorry?
That's my understanding as well.
Understanding, very good. And Brandon has been in jail about 2 years, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've learned that at one point he was competent, then at another point not competent, and that it's kind of gone back and forth, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you agree with that? That Brandon sometimes is competent and understands what all's going on, and sometimes he's not?
Yes, ma'am.
What makes the difference?
Well, I think it's more than one thing, but the main thing is his medication. He needs to stay on his medication.
Okay.
There's a drastic change in him when he is not on his medicine. And the difference is night and day.
Okay. So does his medication help him?
Absolutely.
Okay. In fact, in looking at the conversations that you and I have had via email, there was one point that you said, wow, Ms. Curry, I understand what you're saying. Today, Brandon called and threatened me.
Yes, ma'am.
At that point, do you believe he was off his medication?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I have been told other things that were happening within the jail with his behavior that also led me to believe that he was not being medicated at the time.
And you know that this court ordered forced medication, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And ultimately, thanks to the court staff being persistent, we got Brandon into Terrell.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you?
Thank you all. Thank you all so much.
And when he got to Terrell, he got back on the medication. Is that right?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he's been back in the jail now about a week, maybe a little less. Is that-
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Have you had the opportunity to talk with him at all since he's been back to the jail?
Yes, ma'am, a couple of times.
And how have those conversations gone?
Well, very, we have a lot of healing to do, but they've been productive.
Okay.
Just discussing a plan and an action to move forward, and so they've been well.
Does it appear to you that Brandon is in a good mental place right now?
He's in a better mental
Okay.
place right now.
Okay.
The best that he could be? No, ma'am, he is not. But it's only been a month, and I believe that he needs time outside of the jail environment and outside of the forced environment to get back to his best self.
Okay. That's fair. Very fair. Has Brandon shared with you what his plans for the future are whenever he gets out of the Van Zandt County Jail?
Yes, ma'am.
And what has he told you?
He would like to go to Tyler. I've offered him to come home, but he doesn't want to come home. He wants to join that program that the Salvation Army has in Tyler. And he would have transportation there and better means for employment and things of that nature. And I understand that. I wanted him just to come home. But that's that.
So let's talk about the program at the Salvation Army. Do you agree with me that Brandon needs continuing mental health treatment?
Yes, ma'am. The Andrews Center is going to provide that.
Okay. And has he in fact been screened by the Andrews Center for that treatment?
Yes, ma'am. He has to take part of his intake again just because he's been in jail for so long on their caseload. And so he has to renew his intake. And I spoke with Jennifer Brasham, as a matter of fact, 30 minutes before I came here. And she has sent me all the information to take Brandon to have that done. As soon as I can get a day off from work, I'm hoping early next week.
Okay.
I can, that will be enough notice to give my job so I can take off for the day.
Do you know whether the Salvation Army program offers any type of mental health care or treatment?
No, ma'am, I do not know for 100% certain if they do. I want to say no, they don't. That they don't, that's not the kind of program they have, but I don't know that for certain.
Do you believe that Brandon needs substance abuse treatment?
No,
Before he went into the jail this time, you don't think he had a drug problem, an addiction problem?
no, ma'am.
Does the Salvation Army offer assistance with things like life skills, transportation, jobs, that kind of stuff?
I'm not 100% certain on that. I believe that they offered discounted bus passes and things of that nature. But as far as life skills, I'm not sure about that. I don't believe so. To be honest with you, I don't think that they do. I think that you have to be enabled on your own to get up and find employment. And but I do believe they offer access to the clothing facility if someone needs clothes, and they have access to bus passes for transportation. I know that they have that, but above that, I don't believe there's any kind of personal help.
And maybe I used the wrong phrase when I used life skills, but they have some type of support there. Like,
I'm sure there's support groups, the support groups there. I don't know if they are managed, by somebody that's going to make you accountable. I don't think so. But there is support groups like therapy. But someone has to want that.
and that's a place where people who are in that program actually reside there. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So they have a roof over their head, food to eat, all of that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
And they do have strict rules as far as you have to be in by a certain time in the evening time. And you can't just be in and out, wandering around, all hours of the night or whatever. You have to come and go at certain times. They release at certain times in the morning, and you have to be, a curfew at nighttime. You have to be back by the nighttime curfew.
And Brandon has expressed to you that that's somewhere he wants to go.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, you and I talked today about a criminal trespass warning. Do you remember me using that term?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said you did not know if there was one at your house prohibiting Brandon from being there. Is that right?
That is correct. That is correct. I don't want that.
Well,
I mean, that's his home.
we've done some research in the few minutes since you and I talked about that. There is a criminal trespass warning on file that says Brandon cannot go to your home address. Okay.
Okay.
I don't have the authority to magically lift that for you.
Okay, I'm gonna see what I can do to remove that, what I have to do to remove that.
Do you want Brandon to be able to come to your house?
Absolutely. That's his home.
Are you afraid of Brandon?
Yes.
Under what circumstances are you afraid of Brandon?
Like me very much right now. And I can't say that I blame it I never intended for him to spend 2 years of his life incarcerated. That was not my intentions when I called for help that day. And so we don't have the best relationship right now. We don't have any relationship right now, as a matter of fact.
Do you love Brandon?
Yes, ma'am. Very much so. I don't think that he believes that.
I'm sorry?
I don't think that he believes that. And so
Do you want him to know that you love him?
absolutely, I love him very much.
When the case that got Brandon put on probation, when you called the police for that case, did you believe that him being on probation and getting rearrested, did you believe that that would be the outcome?
To be honest with you, I tried to intervene on those charges as well. But he wasn't in jail very long before he was placed on probation. That time, it wasn't like it was this time. And we were not speaking to one another while he was incarcerated that time. And his probation happened very quickly that time. Within just a matter of months, he was placed on probation. And so, no, I would have not wanted that for him. I believe that for somebody like Brandon, that is a setup and failure situation. And so I would not have wanted that for him. But when I discovered that that's the way that it was, I became grateful for the system um, managing, helping him to manage his mental health situation. And so I accepted it for that reason within myself.
And what you refer to as this time, which I'll call the second set of charges, the charges that violated his probation. When you called the police that day, did you want him to go to jail?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I specifically asked them to please take him back to Terrell, that he was off his medication. And I even used the words that I thought were the words that I needed to use, because we don't have, um, law enforcement is not necessarily trained in this area to deal with mental health. And I don't mean that disrespectfully at all. I'm just saying that that's the facts. And so I try to use words like, he's a danger to himself and to others, and he's off his medication. And would you please take him back to Terrell State Hospital, is what I asked them to do that day.
You've expressed to me, Miss Jordan, and I hope I've told you enough that I don't agree with you. But you've expressed to me that you believe that Brandon being locked up for the last 2 years is your fault.
I do, very much so. I'm having a really hard time with it. I have a lot of guilt over that.
And I've told you that I don't believe that's the case.
Yes, ma'am, you have.
Okay. Um, is that something you want Brandon to know, that what do you want Brandon to know about that decision to call law enforcement that day?
I'm so sorry. I'm so very sorry. I didn't know what else to do. The worst mistake I've ever made. And I'm so sorry.
Ms. Jordan, one of the other things you and I talked about today, you told me that in the past, you have tried to help Brandon in a certain way. And that now you don't believe that that is the right way to try to help Brandon, that you believe it is a different way. Can you explain that for us? Do you understand the
Yes, ma'am.
conversation I'm getting at?
Yes,
Could you
ma'am.
explain that for us?
In the past, well, let me back up. Brandon has not always had the struggles that he is having currently. Brandon was graduated at the top of his class. He was a popular student. He worked hard. He went to college at Texas A&M. He was just like any other teenager or young adult. And at about 24 years old, something changed. And I had no experience or knowledge or wisdom about a mental health crisis. And and so I didn't understand at that time. Um, and I wasn't there for him the way I should have been. And so the last couple of years, I have tried to overcompensate for that by keeping a stronghold on him and trying to make him live and do as what I thought was best for him. And I've had lots of time to reflect in the last couple of years. And to some, to some, and to myself, I've been a huge enabler during that process. I didn't see that at the time. I thought I was just doing what any mother would do and trying to help him. But I wasn't helping him. I was enabling him in lots of ways and not allowing him to make decisions for himself, whether those be successful or failures. That's the way we learn. And I was preventing him from doing that by keeping that stronghold on him, wanting to micromanage everything about him, wanting to sway his way of thinking to my way of thinking because I thought that was the responsible way, the better way for him. And I don't believe that to be true anymore. I believe that when when Brandon gets released from here and is able to walk freely on his own, that he's 34 years old, he's extremely intelligent, and he knows the difference between right and wrong. And I must allow him to make his own decisions, whether they be successes or failures, so that he can learn from his point of view and what path he needs to take rather than the pressure that my way of thinking might put on him.
Where did Brandon go to high school?
He graduated from Grantslead.
And you said he was at the top of his class?
Yes, ma'am. He was an AB student the whole 4 years he was in high school.
And he went to college?
Yes, ma'am. Texas A&M.
What was he studying there?
Just general studies. He only went for about a year and a half before he came home and took himself up north and joined the oil field up north. And went to work. And while he was at Texas A&M, he met a little young lady and she got pregnant. And so Brandon has a daughter and she's 12. And so he left college after a year and a half and went to work in the oil field to support his daughter. And him and his daughter and him and Emily lived with us for a long time. And so that's,
Did you tell me once before that it was at that point, the point that he left A&M, that you started noticing some difference in his thinking?
It was a little bit after that. Um, there were some traumatic things that happened. Um, the the young lady that Brandon that has Brandon's little girl was very young at the time herself. They were both really young. And when Addison was probably 4 or 5 years old, she's 12 now. Um, Emily, I mean, there's just no other way to say it. Emily used Addison um, any way she could for the longest time. Even after her and Brandon split up, Brandon was continuing to pay her bills in Arkansas, which is where they live. And he stopped paying her bills, cell phone bill, car insurance, things of that nature. And they hadn't been together for probably a year. And Brandon stopped paying her immediate bills and just paid his child support. And she stopped letting us see Addie. The court order was for her to meet us in Mount Pleasant, which was the halfway point, to pick up Addison on Fridays and take her back on Sundays. And Emily stopped meeting us there. We made several trips to Mount Pleasant and she never showed up. And time rugged on, probably another year went by. And I didn't know until after the fact, but she sent Brandon paperwork to telling him that she wanted him to release his rights, that she wanted her new husband to adopt Addison. And I don't know for what reason, the pressure or I don't know, but for whatever reason, Brandon did that. And at that point in time, we probably hadn't seen her for a year and a half or a year and a half at least, that we hadn't seen Addison at all anyway at that time. But I didn't know about that until after the fact, which I don't guess there was much I could do because there's no such thing as grandparents' rights in Texas, but it was around about that time that things began to change. He'd been working at FedEx for about 3+ years, and he had earned awards through them for being the most productive, for not missing any days of work and things like that. And I'll never forget the first sign that I had was he came home from work one day and he told me that he was never going back there again because they were trying to kill him. And at first, I handled that all wrong. I didn't know anything about. A mental health crisis was the last thing I thought of at the time for someone who was strong-minded and intelligent and independent. And I never thought that that would be the case. So that never crossed my mind that that was the problem. And I almost just kind of blew it off and put the thumb down. What are you thinking? You got to go back to work. You can't just not go to work, that kind of thing. And I handled that all wrong. And it was probably 9 months to a year later that I knew that we had crisis because his first trip to Terrell State Hospital, he was found on Highway 17 with both of his wrists slit, not knowing if he was gonna make it or not. And an officer within the Benson County Sheriff's Department took him to Terrell. And he spent 3.5 months there that time. And they got him back on track. And so I thought he was back on track and things were better. Again, very ignorant I was to the whole situation. That wasn't enough time that first time. His counselor asked me what my opinion was about them releasing him or putting him on the year-long program that they have there. And once again, I failed him. I just wanted him to come home.
So, Ms. Jordan, you made that decision thinking it was the best for your son. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am. I thought that, I mean, we talked all the time and
So let's,
I thought that he was okay. And for a long time he was. A long time went by and he was fine. And then he stopped taking his medicine. And at that time, I didn't realize how crucial and dangerous that is for somebody to be on those types of medications and then just abruptly, with no doctor supervision, stop taking them. And I'm aware of that now and what that does to someone. And it's horrible. And so the paranoia and, and just uncomfortable in your surroundings intensifies when you abruptly stop taking that medication.
so
And
let's
so
go
that's what
back.
happened.
You're fine, you're fine. Let's go back and talk about this hearing today, okay? Brandon is on probation. His probation is set to expire in January. So he would have to finish his probation from now till January. If he violated that probation, he could go back to jail, violating it in any way. Okay? You made it very clear to me that you were not going to cooperate and testify against Brandon in the new cases, the cases that happened while he was on probation that you're the victim of. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am. I don't like being here today.
I've told you that there were some other violations, we call them technicals in this business, that didn't involve you, that I thought I could prove to the judge, to convince the judge that he has violated his probation and ask the judge to send him to prison. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You've told me you didn't want me to do that.
I've begged you. I think I've begged everybody in this room, with the exception of these people over here. But the ones right here and right there have all received correspondence from me begging for that not to happen. That he doesn't deserve that.
I've explained to you that the state controls criminal prosecutions, and to some extent, the judge controls revocations as much as the state does.
I've seen that in action.
But I've also told you that it's important to me to know what a victim wants before I make a decision.
Yes, ma'am. You have very much taken my feelings and thoughts into consideration during this time. And I
So,
appreciate that.
so now's your chance to tell the judge and me what you want to happen. And here's the things that could happen, okay? I could ask the judge for permission to withdraw my motion to revoke. Brandon would have to finish his probation till January. I could ask the judge to add some time, to modify him and add some time to his probation, another year, maybe two. So his probation would be long. So that's two different options. Withdraw, and he's on probation till January. Make the probation longer. Send him to prison. Or something we call withdraw and terminate. So I would withdraw the motion and ask the judge to end his probation today. So actually, there's 4 different choices there.
Yes, ma'am.
Which of those choices do you want?
Well, I don't want anything that sets my son up for failure. And he doesn't have a job. He doesn't have transportation, and he currently has nowhere to live. And so I never wanted any of this for him anyway. And so I would like to see it all go away. I would like to see it be taken off his record so that he's not a felon while he tries to find a job. However, I do believe that he needs assistance right now with staying on track so that he takes his medication and has a place to get therapy, or not even really therapy, but a place to get life skills, like as you put it, a means forward. And so I have been in contact with Jennifer Brasham with the Andrews Center quite a bit lately. And she is wonderful, and she is willing to help in any way that she can with housing, even with housing. But Brandon wants to do this on his own through the Salvation Army, and that's what we're gonna do, and is what he thinks is best for him. What he thinks is the best path forward to better circumstances. And he knows himself better than any of us do. So I wish we could walk out of here right now and leave that orange uniform on the floor and never look back. And you can bet I'll die before I ever have him in here again.
And Ms. Jordan, I was about to say, I have one more question.
I will never call the police again, ever, no matter what, because we do not have the resources here to address mental health within the sheriff's department. And it's not anybody's fault. We have great police officers in this county, but they're not trained nor equipped to deal with a set of circumstances like what we had the day that I called them this last time. And
That's,
so
that, you've actually hit my biggest concern right on the head. No one in here, no one, especially me, wants Brandon to ever get off his medication again, okay?
that's right.
But if he does, you remember the day he sent you the threatening email in jail, from jail?
The call, yes, ma'am, I do.
I'm sorry, the call, yes.
Yes, ma'am. He was very angry with me.
If he does get off his medication and was in that mood and threatening you in that way and coming at you in that way, it scares me to death that you would not call the police.
Ma'am, it scares me to death too. but that's my son. And really and truly, I don't blame him for being angry with me right now. And he was very much so angry with me that day, and I'm sure frustrated because he was probably cold and in a cell by himself. He had no socks, he had no underwear, and that's what he was screaming at me about. He wanted socks and he wanted underwear. And he couldn't get them because he was on restrictions, all of the restrictions. He could not call home anymore. That was the only time that I had talked to him in 7 months. And
Off his medication that day.
he was not on his medication at the time. The jail was battling with him pretty extensively over there, and he was destructive. Um, he destroyed his iPad, which is the reason why he didn't have communication with anyone anymore. And so things just spiraled out of control at the jail, and he was very angry with life as a whole, probably, when he called me that morning, but very much so angry with me. And I understand that. He had every right to be because there was nothing in this world that he did that warranted him spending the next 2 years of his life incarcerated in jail. The last 7 months being in a cell alone with no communication and no television and no means to the outside world at all. Um, I don't blame him for being angry.
So I want to ask you one more thing and then I'll be done. You just told me what I consider a very honest answer. You said it scares you to death.
Yes. For me and for him. He's also very suicidal. And so it's not just me, it's him too. He
Even
has
know,
manic depression. And
even knowing that, do you still want him released?
yes, I do, because for one, I'm wiser. I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago as far as being able to better help him, use my resources to help him rather than put a thumb down on him, rather than that strict parenting that I've always raised him with, that to be his friend.
What are you
And
gonna, what are
I
you
don't
gonna,
want this hanging over his head while he tries to find work, while he tries to find a place to live.
what are you gonna do if you get scared of him?
Babe, I'm scared of him sitting right here right now. And that is because I know he doesn't like me very much right now. And I also know that with any of us, with all of us, we have a tendency as humans, when things are bad, to take it out on the people that we care about the most. That's what we do as human beings. And we try not to be that way, but it happens to all of us. And we are all each other has. So I am the person that he takes the anger out on and the frustration out on, that I'm sure that he has, because he wasn't born this way. So I can only imagine what goes on in his mind on the bad days about the why and the how. And I'm an easy target. And I will always be an easy target because I'm all he has and he is all I have. Until he betters his life, which I pray every day that he does. and that he puts this behind him. He's still young. He still can make a family for himself outside of me. And I pray that he does that.
Ms.
I pray that
Jordan,
he realizes, I prayed every day that he realizes that he needs that medication, that to live productively and happy and at peace, you must have it every time you're supposed to have it.
Ms. Jordan, thank you very much for coming up here today on such short notice.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you, Judge. I'll be brief. Ms. Jordan, we've had lots of conversations as well, haven't we?
Yes, sir.
And it's been an ongoing struggle. I've been working with Brandon for about, what, 3 years, 3.5 years now?
Yes, sir.
And I think both of us, through our conversations, have come to the conclusion together that so long as Brandon stays on his medication, he's kind of a joy to be around, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
He's a really good guy.
that's right. So all the issues that have brought us here today are a direct result of his mental illness and his, I guess, inconsistent medication. Is that about right?
Yes, sir. I believe what happens is he is on his medicine for a long time. And I have also learned um, and gained knowledge that um, this is one of the most prominent reasons that that people with mental health struggles have struggles that they do is because they take the medication for a while and they think they're doing great and they think they don't need it anymore. And so they stop taking it.
Now, and I've talked to you quite a bit about my conversations with Brandon and my constant reminder to him that medication is what's going to keep us on the right path, right?
Absolutely.
But through this process, you've learned a lot as well, haven't you?
Yes.
Have you learned that at his age, that there's really not a whole lot you can do personally to control him?
Yes, sir. That's what we were discussing earlier is that I've realized that that I don't need to. I don't have any. And before I try to keep my thumb on things and it can't be this way going forward.
So regardless of what ends up happening with this specific case, eventually, sooner or later, he will be a free man again, hopefully sooner.
Yes,
And at that point, he's going to have to learn how to make his own life, right?
absolutely. Yes. And I do believe that he is trying to do that. And that's the reason why he's taking the harder route by going to Tyler, not knowing anyone, not having a job or a place to live, and staying at the Salvation Army rather than coming back to mom's cushy place where mom has money to get what he needs and take care of him and transportation to get him back and forth.
That's that enabling that you were talking about. Now you're aware of it and you realize that's not really helping, right?
Right. And he doesn't want to do that this time either. He's been very adamant with me that that's not what he wants to do.
So each and every step of the way in which you contacted law enforcement, is it your testimony that Brandon was having an acute mental health crisis?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I mean, sir, he was behind my house in the woods sleeping. When there's a perfectly good home right there in front of him that I hope he knows.
And ultimately, I guess to get to the point is that eventually he's going to have to get out. As his attorney, it's my position that we need to wrap this up. But no matter what, this judge has the decision, the final decision on what the results will be.
Yes, sir, I understand that.
And I think that the reason why we're really here is to make sure that everybody is on the same page. That so far, the person who's at risk when he's having a mental health crisis is you.
No, sir, the person that is at risk is him.
That's where I'm coming from. Okay, and you understand that.
Yes,
You understand that if there's a crisis and he's free, that there's very little that you can do but get out of the way.
That's right.
But you're asking this court, if the state were to move to withdraw and terminate his community supervision, are you in supportive of that decision?
Yes, sir. I think that that would be. I wasn't supportive of that at first. I was supportive of continuing his probation. And that is because I thought that he would lose his benefits through the Andrews Center. And that is not the case. They will very much so support him in any way that they can. They will advocate for him in any way that they can, including housing, including finding a job, including his medication.
But I think what you're trying to make clear is that no matter what the circumstances, you're not gonna abandon your son.
No, sir, I'm not. I'm gonna be going to Tyler and picking him up and making sure he gets to these appointments and I'm gonna be in communication with him. I've already gotten him a cell phone and clothes and, the things that he will need to get started. Waiting for him whenever he's released from here. And I can't micromanage anymore, but I can be a support system. I can be his biggest advocate to make sure that he's positive and stays on track and is making decisions for himself. And that I'm helping him with the decisions he's making rather than trying to help him with decisions that I want him to make.
And I can testify that you have been one of his biggest advocates, and I've told him that as well, okay? So I appreciate that on his behalf, so, that's all the questions I have. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Curry.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. You said.
I just tell you thank you. I want to thank you both very much. I know that I've sent correspondence that seemed like I wasn't grateful. And I want you both to know that I apologize for it coming across like that because I'm very grateful for everything this court has done and the long process and long hours that have been put into trying to keep him from prison and get him the help that he needs. And I thank you very much for that, sir.
We're going to stand in recess for 10 minutes. Council call for 15 minutes. Gotta check on an issue.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, court is back on record in cause number CR 23153, State of Texas versus Brandon Ash Krill. Considering the testimony by Ms. Jordan, I think what I'd like to do is reset Mr. Krill's case again this week to Thursday. Give the court Curry for the state, Mr. Schmidt for the defense, time to process all of the testimony that we received today and determine what our next legal step is for Mr. Krill. So, Mr. Krill, we'll see you back on Thursday of this week at 1:30, and we'll talk that day about potential disposition of your case. Okay? So let's look forward to that time. All right. I think that's all that we have on the afternoon docket. If there is nothing further, then we are done.